Right, ITS148. Today is, it looks like it is April 9th, 24th class. We're getting right towards the end here, so I'm gonna give you the second to last assignment today, and I'll tell you what the last assignment's gonna be, but I haven't written it up yet. And then I guess Thursday's a holiday, so. I've made another slight adjustment to our schedule here. Some of these chapters in this section are not quite as important as some of the later chapters. One important later chapter is XML. It's we really need to cover XML. So I've decided to cover that today. There's not much there. We've been using XML databases in some of these assignments that we've been doing already, but we haven't talked about them. And if you recall, this last assignment or last week, I had trouble tracking down the database, XML database for the assignment. I think it was for the assignment, and I thought, gee, if we would have covered XML already, we could have just created it. So, so I'm going to go through the XML slides today, which is chapter 22, and the assignment, and then I've also given you an assignment. The assignment is, you may recognize it, it's, my screen just went blank. Here we go. I got to flesh it out a little bit, but it's, you recall last semester we created this friends database. We stored our friends in a text file, and we read the text file back up again, and we were able to delete friends, add friends, and sort friends. Were we able to sort friends in this class? Yeah. And so I'd like us to do the same thing, same assignment. In fact, you can probably go back and dig up your old assignment, but I want you to make the database an XML database. Okay, now we'll cover XML today, but really the XML that we covered today has got some slight fancy features that you're not going to have to use for this friends database. And also the last assignment, assignment 8, uses an XML database. You can go in and look at that, and that XML database, the records can be either, if you recall, they're either a plant product or a supply, a supply product or a supply of something that is used to grow plants. So, we created an item, if you recall in the last assignment, we created an item class, and then we created a plant class and a supply class based on the item class. That's fancy also. You're not even gonna have to do that. It's just, but what you are gonna have to do is you're gonna have to create the database. You're gonna have to design the XML. You're gonna have to know enough about XML to actually design the file, and start out by throwing some friends in there, and then you're gonna, be your software, your program is gonna be able to add to it and delete from it. So and so it'll just give you a nice exposure to XML. Have I started recording? I haven't started recording yet, have I? Shoots. I am recording, okay. But I'm not sharing my screen yet, am I? Let me share my screen. All right, sorry about that. All right, screen. And I guess I am recording, okay. This is the assignment 9. Create an application similar to the friends database you created in 128, except store the data in XML. And for the fields include first name, last name, address, city, state, zip, phone number, and email address. And some of those fields can be empty. That's okay. And I want you to use a list. I think in 128 we used an array, but using a list is just as easy, maybe even easier. In fact, I think it's easier. In my 128 this semester, I have them use a list, and it's easier. And then add and delete, and then I will fill in some of the blanks later as we go along. Okay, so this is going to be the last. This is going to be the last. This is going to be the second to the last assignment. The last assignment is going to be basically the same thing, except for we're going to use we're going to do an SQL database, which is like chapter 21 or something, 20 or 21. So let me just. So if we go back to assignments, you can look in here in this inventory item class assignment from before, and you can check out the XML file that's got these items in it, and it's your XML file doesn't have to be as complicated as that. Let me download the slides, PowerPoint slides, and this is chapter 22 we're in. So I'm just going to go through these slides today, no big deal. Let's see. All right, how to work with XML files. In this, how to work with XML files. Okay, in this chapter, we're going to learn about the XmlWriter class to write an XML document, the XmlReader class to read an XML document, use Visual Studio's XML Editor to create and edit an XML document. If we, let me just open up one of the previous, let me go to resources and go to exercises. And I think 14 is where we, this might be the solution. I think this is a solution file here. Let me put this on the desktop. So I'm just going to start this up. And if we look in here and we look at the XML, I don't see the XML file in here, do you? Let me, oh, here it is, it's in here, so I gotta.
Oh, right, because before it wasn't there and you had it.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. So let me save this someplace. How do I save this someplace? I'm going to put it down in here. This is terrible the way this works. So I need to do right-click, add existing item, and it's down here, and I need to go all files, here, this one. And then I also need to go to customer DB, and I need to go dot dot backslash dot dot, I think. And this here is this is the tough part. I mean, you're gonna basically recreate this thing here, but using your friends. Look at this, it's got all the stuff in here already. Retail customers and wholesale customers. You only have to do friends. This is going to be an easy assignment. So if we look at this, we have some friends here, and we can add a friend, save a friend. You can add we're only going to have one kind of friend, not a wholesale friend and a retail friend. But I'm going to want you to have the interface be a little bit fancier. I want you to be able to sort it. I want to be able to delete it. You can delete and add. Okay, so I guess that's it. Sorting is the only additional thing. So store it into a list. But so this is the reader. This is interfaces. This uses the methods, the XML methods, the reader and the writer that we're going to talk about today. And it creates a list. We have a customer.cs. You're going to have to create a class just like this. Looks like this. And you're not going to have to do any overloading, or you're not going to have to create any subordinate classes, you know, wholesale or retail. So I should have made it a harder assignment. We create a list here. Is it list customer? Okay, so it's just going to be adapting. It's going to be taking this and adapting it to your friends list. Okay. So it's going to be easy like the other assignments. All right. So and so you're going to create an XML file that looks something like this, except for you won't have a type field, but you'll have a first name, a last name, an email, an address, city, state, zip, and phone number. All right, so let me just go through these slides here. So how an XML file works. How to work with XML files. So XML reader class and the writer class, and the editor is just simply you know, if you double click on this thing, if you double click on the XML file, it's this. Okay, so you're just able to add stuff this way. So let's say we have data for 3 products. Looks like this. We have a code, we have a description, and a price. And the XML document contains the data for these 3 products. So we start out with this beginning tag here, which gives the version of XML, and it gives the encoding, which is the character set that he uses. And English speaking countries generally use this as a default, this UTF-8. And then these are comments. If you're familiar with HTML, it's very similar. This looks very similar to HTML, except for HTML formats for the browser, XML formats for passing data back and forth between computers. And we have these outside, this is sort of a base, this is an XML file of products. And then inside we've got 3 products here, 1, 2, 3. And files can have, these products can have attributes. And then there are these are the fields inside the products, fields of the product. So you can have it, and your assignment, you're not going to even need this. You're just going to use this part, and you're going to have a bunch more of inside there. So this is a product element. This is a description element. This is the price element. These are elements. So each XML tag begins with a beginning less than bracket and ends with a greater than bracket. First line of the XML document is the XML declaration. It indicates the version of the standard being used, and it also identifies the character set. UTF-8 is standard for commonly used for English-speaking countries. We can have comments that look like that, just like HTML. And elements. An element is a unit of XML data that begins with a start tag and ends with an end tag. So begins with a start tag and an end tag. And the start tag provides the name of the element and contains any attributes assigned to the element, and that would be attributes. And the end tag repeats the name prefixed with a slash. So you see this here, it's got this prefixed with a slash here. Text between the elements start and end tags is called the content. You can use any name you want for an XML element. Elements can contain other elements. In other words, you can have child elements, children elements. An element that contains an element that's contained within another element is known as a child element. And the element that contains the child element is called the child's parent element. Child elements can repeat within the parent element. The highest level parent element of the document is known as the root element. And an XML document can only have one root element. So in this case, this is the root element. And we generally do, so it can only have one root element. We generally use plural here because you have a bunch of child elements here. In this case, we only have one. In this particular example right here, we only have one child element. But you know, in this example, we've got three children elements, 3 child elements, and just so you know, a child element can also have child elements themselves, so we can nest. So here, you can include one or more attributes in the start tag. So this only has one attribute. You don't have to have any attributes if you don't want to. In our in the assignment, in the last assignment, the elements, the children elements, it's an XML database of items, And so the root element is items, and then inside each child element is an item, and the items do not have any attributes. But if you recall, an item can be either a supply or a plant. And so you'll notice that the elements inside can differ. So an attribute consists of an attribute name followed by an equal sign followed by a string value in quotes, as we see here. And if an element has more than one attribute, the order does not matter, but the attributes must be separated by one or more spaces. So if we were to have another one here, we'd put a space there, and then we could stick some more here. At the very end, it's got to have this greater than sign. When you use attributes, okay, so when you design an XML document, you can use either child elements or attributes to represent data for the element. The choice over one or the other is often just a matter of preference. Two advantages of attributes are that they appear in any order, and they're more concise because they don't require end tags, and they're like right up there in the starting element tag. Two advantages of child elements are that they're easier for people to read and they're more convenient for long string values. For example, if you want to have return characters, or you have a bunch of text, it's better to use a child element than it is to throw it in an attribute. So this is what an XML document looks like in this XML editor, which I just showed you. We've got, these are products, code. They're child elements. Each of these product child elements has two children elements, a description and price. How to add a new XML file to a project, we just did that sort of. We can choose the project, add a new item command. In the add new item dialog box, select XML file template, type a name for the XML file in the name box and click add. This adds an XML file to your project, adds the XML declaration for the document up at the top, and it opens up the document in the XML editor. And to open up an existing file, you can double click on the file. It's over on the right. To open up an existing file without adding your file to your project, you just see, this is if it's stored in the project. If it's not stored in the project, you can just open it up. And to edit, when you type the start tag, the XML editor automatically adds an end tag for the element and positions the insertion point, in between the start and the end tags. And when you type an attribute and an equal sign, the XML editor automatically adds a pair of quotation marks. That's IntelliSense type stuff. So common methods of the XmlWriter class are create path settings, write start document, write a comment, write the beginning of an element, write an attribute string, write the end of an element, and write an element string. Common properties of the writer settings. This is you have a set. You do the settings, and then you do usually start with these. You define these first, and then you use these. So code that writes. I mean, let me. I'm gonna go to. I'm gonna actually show these. Let me. So if we go to this DB customer db.cs, which has all the stuff in here. So here, this is the writer. Where's the reader? Reader. Let's go to writer. Oh, okay. So so I could add another customer in here. So I hit enter, and I just do customer. Close it, and you notice it automatically puts that it puts a closing tag in there, and then here I can put a type, and then automatically puts that in there, and I can put a retail, and then I can do first name, I can do Joe, and I can do last name, Schmo, and I can do email, close it, automatically does that, Joe at schmo.com, and company Schmo Enterprises, some crazy thing like that. So you see the editor makes it easy for you to enter stuff in. And so there's Joe Schmo right there. In here though, this is where, so let's find the writer stuff. Save customers. Okay, so we have a list, path to it, reader reading it in, wholesale customer reading it in. Here's reading it in, and here's saving it back out again. So this method here is past a list of customers. That's probably in the well, it's probably in here. Let's see what's in here. Save is the customer, wholesale customer. So it's returned to here. And if we look at this, so where do we pop up? Add wholesale customer. Get new customer. adds a customer. This loads the customers. Where do we write? See, let me run this. I want to try to add somebody here. I'm going to add I'm going to add another retail customer, John Brown, John at brown.com, Brown Company. Save. Okay, let's add it there. And is it added here yet? Let me look at the. Oops. The file has been changed externally and has no unsaved changes. It said you want to reload it. No. I want to see what this looks like. Yeah, it hasn't been added yet. So when I close it, does it add it? Didn't add it. Let me try this again. Oh, there's John Brown. Exit. I wonder why that is. So it must be stored in some buffer or something. There's John Brown. And when I open this back up again, it should be there. All right, well, anyway, so let me go back to this. Okay, so common methods of the XmlWriter class, I was going over that. That would be in DB. So let me see if I can find these over here. These are the XmlWriter settings. That's this. So there's indent. That just, all that does is that says whether or not we indent. And then we also have indent characters. So that's that number of character spaces. This is the create. We're creating the file. Connecting this object, it's XmlWriter object called XmlOut. This connects it to the path, which is the path to the file, and then the settings. settings here, which are right here. And then we have the start document here. And we are writing back out again. Write the start elements. So write the customers. That's the root element. This thing here. And then this is the loop here for each customer. We if it's a wholesale customer, we write out this cast, this customer, this general customer class cast as a wholesale customer to the XML object, which is a writer back out there. So that would be right, wholesale is this thing here. This is a method which contains all these methods that are built into this XML out object that we've instantiated here. So there's the write start element, which is this, just like that. The write element string, which is the type in the wholesale. This is write element string. Write element string, that's this one. So it's type. The type, the first name, last name, email, company. First name, which writes out the first name. The last name writes out the last name from this list of objects, the list of customers, email, and the company. And these are element strings inside this customer, inside one of the customer elements. And then we write the end here, this thing. Didn't mean to do that. And here, this is the same thing for the retail customers. Looks like the only difference here is this type is different. And here we're writing the company, and here we're writing the home phone. So when you look over here, we've got either company for wholesale customer, or for retail customers, we've got the home phone. For the reader class, that's up here. Start read element, constant string, that's these here. Read start element, read end element. So we read these elements, and based on the type, we're either going to add this read wholesale XML in, which is where we read, these are the different fields or the different elements of a wholesale customer, and these are the different elements of a retail customer. So in your assignment, you're not going to have separate things, of course. All right, so so these are the XML nodes in this document. We've got declaration, we've got comment, we've got we've got an element called products. That's the root one, and we've got these other elements, these child elements, one for each product. They've got codes. They've got a description. Oops. They've got they've got a price. This is the different. This is a products XML document, not a customer. So code that reads the XML document. For this, we've got a list of products which we've declared. So there's a product class. We're going to create this path variable which connects to a products XML document, and then we're going to create a reader settings object, which is called settings, which will allow us to read it. And we're going to ignore white space and ignore comments, of course. And then this connects a reader to our file. And then this reads all the way to the end. To the last product. This reads to the last product. It's called product. Create one product object for each product node. So for each one we read, we create a new product object. We set the code for it, which comes out of the header, the beginning tag for the element, and then we read the elements of the product, which includes a description and a price, and we add that. And then once we have all that, we've got the code, we've got the description, the price, and we add it to our products list. Add it to our products list. And while there's a sibling product, in other words, while there's another one, we keep on looping here. And once we're done, we close the reader. So a class that works with an XML document. This is we just sort of looked at this for customers. This is the path to the XML document, creating a list. Or this I'm sorry. This is the method in this product DB class that gets the products from the XML document. And so we create a new list called products. It's called products. It's a list of type product. It's a list. And here we're setting, these are the settings for this reader. We're going to ignore the white space. We're going to ignore the comments. My screen just went blank. And this connects it. And here again, going over this again. We read, and this is the read all of the products in the that are inside the root products. element, and we, create a new product object, get the code out, get the description out, get the price out, and then we add it to the list. And this is how we write them back out again. This is the save products method. We first of all we initialize our settings for the writer. We're going to indent, and these are the indent characters. And we're going to create a new writer object called XmlOut. This connects it to the file, and we're going to write a starting document. We're going to write a starting element called products, and for each product in the list, each product object in the list, we're going to write another start object called product. It's going to have a code attribute. Then it's going to have a description element, and it's going to have a price element. And then we're going to write the end of this product element, the end tag. And we're going to do that for all the products in the list. And when we're done, we write the end element of this object here, or of this element here. So this is the start of the root element. This is the end. And then we close it out. And I think we're done. So you can see that this is pretty simple. And but it's important because you're going to see, you're going to use and see XML a lot. In 128, we learned how to use text files to store data and to read data back up again. And if you recall, I think did we delimit? We must have delimited the file. Maybe we delimited it by comma or tab, and that's one way of doing it. But this is a more general purpose way, and this is used. This has been used in industry for the last 20. This is 2019. Well, I was working with this back in the 90s, so it must have been like 30 years. The airline industry started using XML for storing and passing around airline flight information. So, all right, so after you do this assignment, then we will move on to chapter. Can't remember what chapter it is. Let me look and see. Let me open up it's only 240. Let me open up Vital Source. Yeah, we're gonna, I guess, chapter 17, 18, that's right. So 21 is text files. We learned text files in 128. In this book, we don't learn text files until chapter 21. And then XML is chapter 22, which I just covered. We've covered text files already, so we aren't going to do that. Instead, and in this textbook, we cover databases first. So this is what we're going to cover we're going to cover this stuff. Spend the rest of the semester covering databases. Introduction to ADO.net. So if you've had the database class, 129, is that Mr. Nakasone? Is that 129? Is that your database? Okay. So is anybody taking his class? Okay. Well, you teach MySQL, right? You MySQL. You use MySQL. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, good. So if you're taking are you taking his class? You took his class. Okay. Well, it should be easy stuff then. Did you? What programming language did you use to interface, or did you use a programming language to interface to it, or do you just do SQL? Yeah, for 129. Yeah, just SQL. Oh, good. Well, good. So I can have some high expectations. Excellent.
129.
Ah. Well, good. So it should be easy then, easier. Okay, well, I guess that's all I have to cover today, and I'm gonna go upstairs and put the rest of these put today's video and the last 2 days' videos, which I haven't put up there yet. I'll put those up before my next class. So Thursday's holiday. Have a nice holiday, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks for watching. Huh? Isn't Thursday a holiday? Thursday? Friday's the holiday?
2 Fridays. The 19th. And if you don't know what holiday it is, then there's no holiday, right, Abigail?
I'm sorry. Well, why do I have it then? Well, what is my problem then? Hold on. What is my problem? No, I don't know. It could have been left over from last semester. Maybe it was left over from last semester. I don't know. Let me see. Huh? So, you know, I sit here and I talk about it. Okay, so what is this? April 11th, Thursday. Why is it yellow? Is that left over from last semester?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, then good. I'll see you on Thursday then. Excellent. Must have been, I don't know what I was thinking. All right, sorry about that. Anyway, okay, so I'll see you on Thursday. Thanks for watching.